Hi guys, my name's Shonda. I'm here with Casie from Nectar Flow. We actually met 8 years ago during my training. She came and taught a module there, and I've been obsessed with her ever since. And I've gotten to see the transitions from studio to studio, and it's amazing that she has her own space now and is running her own teacher trainings. So I'm here to talk to her a little bit today about them. So, Casie, hi.
Hi.
It's so great to be here with you. This like full circle moment.
It really is.
So just tell me why yoga.
Yeah, so my journey with yoga started when I was right out of college. So that was a while ago. Age myself a little bit here, but I guess 23 years ago. And I was a college track athlete and started coaching and teaching. And I wanted to do something that was non-competitive, that still got my body moving. So I actually got home from work today, one day, exhausted after teaching and coaching. And I stopped at Blockbuster. That's how long ago it was.
Wow, that does age us both.
And got a yoga DVD, thinking like, I'll give this a try. My roommates from college always raved about how great they felt afterwards. And I thought, well, this is probably not going to be for me, but let me try it. So I did 20 minutes of this super cheesy, chill-ish yoga video. I was like, no, this is terrible. I'm done. And I put it away and returned it to Blockbuster. But the next day I was like, a little bit sore. I feel something from 20 minutes of what I thought was very easy movement. So it piqued my interest enough to try a real in-person class. And I went to a class at the Y in Dallas. And it turns out it was a power class, some form of power. And I loved the teacher. She was really authentic, really fun. And it kicked my butt. I was like, this is it. There's no competition, but I'm moving my body and somehow I feel amazing afterwards. So that was a while ago. I continued to teach school, went on to get my master's degree actually in education of all things, and continued to really get passionate, not just about teaching, but teaching about teaching, what the best practices are for being a teacher. And in that process, I had my own children soon after, decided I did not want to go back to teaching middle and high school anymore.
That's fair.
It's fair, yeah, and that's just gotten more challenging, right? And decided to do a yoga teacher training program. So I blended, my practice continued and really evolved over the years. It got to the point where I was practicing all the time through my pregnancies, through postpartum, and yoga was like the one thing that I came back to that just made me feel great. I continued to run, but not, in the same dedication and same way that I found this love for yoga. So I essentially decided, why don't I take this thing that I love so much, apply it to my passion and skill, because I think I'm kind of a natural born teacher, for teaching,
100%.
and really took my 200-hour training with the long-term goal of leading my own teacher trainings. I knew that this is where I wanted to go. And actually that module that I taught for you in your 200-hour, it really hit home for me. I'm like, this is where I need to be. This
I've been waiting for this.
My jam.
I've been waiting for this. Like, I'm just going to redo everything again.
I love it.
Okay, so you started with power.
Yes.
But I know you've encountered a lot of different styles. So what continues to call you back and why?
Yeah, so I still feel like I'm really athletic, and I love the sort of the energy that I get from power. I am a working mom, so I get that some of us don't have time to get a workout in and get an hour-long yin practice in and so on. So I'm still really drawn to some of the athletic and challenging and dynamic practices, but I see and feel the benefit of practices like yin, Vini yoga, etc. So my trainings are really diverse. I did my 200-hour. It did turn out to be a Baptiste power flow, and there were some things that I liked about that sequence, not so much some of the verbiage, and you did the same training. But I've taken some of the things that I love about that sequencing and kept them, and then kind of discarded some of the things that I think are not necessary.
Yes.
Exactly. I have done a 50-hour yin training, a 50-hour Ashtanga training, certified in both of those. I have also done a restorative training, Vini yoga, pranayama, meditation. All of those lineages really inform what I teach now. So I have not done the Iyengar training, but I've done quite a bit of reading and research over Iyengar, and I love really how Iyengar has informed chair yoga and accessible yoga. Really those lineages come from Iyengar's teachings. And so I will incorporate chairs into even some of my power classes, because I think that there's use of that as a prop that can really help awaken a lot of different things for people. So there is a lot of prop use in my classes, even the power classes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I feel like you see props and you're like, nah, it's for the old people. Or
That's
the people who can't do
especially
stuff.
chair. Yeah.
Yeah.
In every class I teach where I'm like, okay, let's grab a chair. I get this look of people like, I don't need chair yoga. There's a lot of ego involved in it.
Yeah.
So we work to kind of break that down.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so what, as you've been putting together your 200 hour, what sets this one different apart from others?
Well, I did, of course, the similar training that you did, and mine is light years different from the 200-hour that you and I both experienced. But I really, truly believe that there's so much that sets this apart from other 200-hour trainings. First of all, the depth and the richness of the content, it's really extensive. And there are lots of opportunities because of the way that I teach as a teacher of teachers for people to dive deeper into what they're passionate about. So I teach in multiple different modalities first and foremost. It's not just that you have to come in as one style of learner, So if you don't love learning by reading or sitting and listening or any of those, there's other opportunities for you to interact with the material. So I offer what's really called different modalities of learning or diversifying the ways for students to learn. That's a really big part, but in addition to that, I see, particularly through my own journey, how yoga goes so much more beyond the pose. And so yes, you are going to learn asana. You are going to learn sequences in this training. And particularly speaking to the sequences, instead of saying you have to learn this one sequence rigidly as it is, or you have to come up with your own sequences, fly off the cuff, I'm leaving you to the wolves, I've found a method where I have 3 blueprints that I suggest teachers learn these 3 blueprints. I require, I should say. But then we talk about, okay, now that you've learned it, now that you've kind of memorized the structure, now we start to learn how to adapt, how to modify, and why and when to adapt, when to modify, when to amplify. And so I think that really sets it apart in the realm of asana. And the deeper elements, I dive into the subtle bodies, the chakras, the koshas, the nadis, these things that make yoga different from other forms of movement practice. We talk extensively about pranayama, about meditation, but then we also go into the ancient history of yoga. Over 5,000 years old, really the first known form of structured movement, and Ayurveda as well, the science of life, the oldest form of medicine. So all of that history, the yogic texts, it's all incorporated in a way that's tangible. I'm not requiring my 200-hour students to sit down and read the entire Bhagavad Gita and write a report on it. Instead, we make it fun, I break it down, and we get into those texts. I left my 200-hour not even knowing that the Bhagavad Gita existed, certainly not how to even say it, right? And so I want students leaving this program to know that history, because otherwise, really, it's cultural appropriation.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Right. So I think that's an element as well that really sets it apart. There's another thing too that I offer, in addition to a really yoga-focused approach to anatomy, not just learn all the bones and the muscles of the body. Applicable, exactly. Understanding why it's important for you to know, certain elements and contraindications, what's not okay for the knees, what's not okay for somebody with a hip injury, and so on, based on the anatomy, and how to modify for that. So that sort of scaffolds us into the modifications and all of that. So it really builds beautifully in that way, and I structure it in a way that hopefully really makes sense as a learner, because there's so much information. And if it's just thrown at you, what's going to stick?
Overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think something that you and I have talked about, and other teachers have said as well, that I offer that other trainings don't, is how you're going to make money doing this, right? So the business of yoga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've absolutely wished that was in all of my trainings. Okay, so as far that's I definitely have seen, because of the little I know about you, how beautifully different it is. But from the teacher trainings you've already done, how would you say this training is going to be different from those?
Absolutely. So I've obviously been, I don't want to say obviously, it's not obvious. I haven't gone into this with the mentality of, I wrote this curriculum and now it's done, signed, sealed, and delivered. I'm finished, put a bow on it. Instead, I taught, my first training was like, okay, these things were awesome, but now I need to make some changes. Now I need to adapt the schedule. I need to modify for people that have, a working life, so on. So I changed the schedule up. I've added a lot to the curriculum. I've taken some things out that felt excessive for a 200-hour. And then in addition to that, I've really decided that it's important to make this training keep the integrity of having in-person elements, because I think so much learning happens with the in-person community, with getting real-time feedback in front of students that are not your family, not your friends, and then getting feedback from your peers that are going through the same training. So I don't ever really want to go fully online. But at the same time, I think that there's so much learning now with all the resources that we have that can be done online. And so I've taken about 70% of the training and transferred it to online learning.
Okay.
What makes that different from other online learning programs is that I really, again, as a high school and middle school teacher, know how to keep students accountable. So I've got assignment check-ins throughout. I've got meetings that we schedule in person throughout. There are quizzes that are challenging. You get a chance to retake them if you struggle. You can do open book, but I want my students to try themselves without the open book. If you fail, take it again with the book open, right? Go back and figure out. It's really about you assessing yourself, like, oh gosh,
It's like your own accountability.
yes,
And yeah.
exactly, exactly. And but then I'm there, kind of in the background,
Yeah.
like, hey, by the way, like,
Yeah.
you might want to look over the 8 limbs again, right? And that satya, that talking about the 8 limbs, that truthfulness, like, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So be honest with yourself, and if you really want to learn this, challenge yourself. And so I've got those check-ins, and then we end with a 5-day, 50-hour in-person intensive. And so we'll be in this studio space. We'll get a chance to observe, students will get a chance to observe me teaching. They will get a chance to practice with me in person if they're traveling from afar. And that's the other thing. My previous trainings were here in Spicewood. They were all in person. So people had to be close enough to Spicewood, little old Spicewood, Texas, to be able to take this. And I have people all over the country that are expressing interest in being able to access this information and this knowledge and working with me and with this community. So I want to make it accessible for everybody.
Yeah, you can reach so many more people this way.
Yes.
I love that. But I love that there's still that in-person aspect, and that then other people are also getting to, be a part of this community as well.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so beautiful. And this is a pretty big time and money commitment.
Yes.
And so how do you help people reconcile?
So, I mean, one of the things that I already mentioned is that element of the business of yoga. I think that there are a lot of teacher training programs that don't necessarily want to give away the secrets of the business and how to make money in this, because it's adding to the competition. It is a competitive market.
Yeah.
And this is an investment. When I first did my teacher training years ago, I was like, how am I going to make that money back? And I made it back very, within the first 6 months. And, there are lots of different ways, but we delve into how to earn money in this business. I continue to support as a mentor throughout. So when you graduate, it's not the end. So each of the people that have graduated from my program are reaching out to me fairly regularly with advice. How do I structure payment for this? Hey, I have a client that wants this, what can we do to help offer something to them? So I will continue to provide that support. I really don't believe that some of the larger and less expensive trainings are offering that kind of mentorship at that kind of level. That's one element, and the other part of it is I really don't believe that many of these programs have the layer of accountability, the depth of the curriculum, the interactive aspects, nor are they giving teachers the structure that they need to really plan mindful sequences that do no harm to their students.
Yes, do no harm.
Yes.
And the confidence to go into that, knowing that that's your goal.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so how can students connect with you or learn more about this training? Because there is quite a bit more.
There is so much more. So, the first place to start is kind of looking at my website. I've put a lot of effort into helping, get all the information necessary out there on my website. And then through the website, you can actually get into the Podia platform, which is the online learning platform, and you can see each and every module and subject under that module. So you can first of all learn pretty much everything we're going to learn in the program that way on Podia. And then in addition to that, I am more than willing to hop on a Google Meet call, which is the platform that we use for all of our online meetings, or meet in person if somebody's local. So I'm happy to spend 30 minutes, an hour, whatever needs to be taken. I just had a meeting with somebody on Monday that signed up for the training, and we took about 30 minutes to chat. I was able to show her through the Google Meet what that curriculum entails, and she was like, sign me up. So she's in. And I'm really excited about the fact too that between now and April 1st, I'm offering an early bird special. My
Okay.
goal with that is that I'm giving $200 off of the training with the mindset that the people that sign up between now and April can kind of form a cohort of sorts. So
I love that.
everybody will be at a little bit of a different pace, but at the same time, like you've got about 6 months until our in-person training in September. And we can, meet online together. We can chat. We can collaborate. We can answer questions. We can support each other. And so I think if we can get a cohort together with that first early bird group, it'll be a really great experience.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is because I do think that there can be a disconnect with online.
Definitely.
And so I love that you're taking your kind of, feel the same way about online even further.
Yes.
There is that, you're still getting that deep connection with people.
I've been really resistant to putting this program online because I do feel like there's so much wealth in the in-person element. So it's been a conflict for me. And I think you and I have both joked about the fact that we've signed up for online courses and, give the money away and then we don't end up committing. But I actually have the ability to check and see how far people are along in modules. And I will be giving, I'm not afraid to give like a gentle nudge, like, hey, Shauna, what's up?
I know.
I see you're only 5 lessons in to a 225 lesson training. So let's go, girl.
Yeah.
And what support can I give you?
Yes.
Right? Like that's the thing. Why are you stuck? Is something going on in your life? And
yes, because everyone's got different things going on. So what would you, if someone maybe has a lot of things going on, but they also want to take this training and maybe don't meet that September deadline, do you have?
There are other options.
Okay.
So if you started April 1st or between now and then and you find I don't have the time, but you've made this investment, right? And you still want to get the certification. I'm offering another retreat in May. So
you don't have to wait a full year.
You don't have to wait a full year.
Okay.
So May of 2026, it'll be the first full week in May, and it'll be the same structure, Monday through Friday. We get here early, 8 a.m., and we stay until about 6 p.m., but we will have breakfast together, we'll have lunch together, and then you can kind of go on your way to have dinner either with your family or, if you live from afar, I'll help you set up lodging, so on and so forth. So, yep.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, so
it's sign me up.
Right, I know. And the other cool thing about this online program for people like yourself that already have hundreds of hours of training, but maybe feel like there are some gaps. Like you said, the business of yoga might be a gap. The subtle bodies, anatomy, these things might be gaps. My future plan really within the next 6 months is to start to modulate some of these programs. So
you can just take it.
You could just
any
take
piece you want.
Exactly. So if you said, hey, I really want to brush up on my anatomy, or you wanted to learn anatomy the way I teach it, I'm going to have that as a singular module that you can take. This also means that if you're a trainee, you can go back and revisit as well. This curriculum will be accessible through the 250-page color manual that I have also. It's really beautiful. It's like my baby. I've put so much into it. And so that's actually included in the sign up for the full 200-hour training. A lot of,
no matter where you're located?
No matter where you're located, I will print up and mail you the manual. So I know you've done a training where it was like, you can have a digital manual, but you have to pay extra.
Afterwards.
Yeah. So folks, there really are some trainings out there that
but we've learned
aren't what they are cracked up to be, or not what they promise to be.
Yeah.
And so, I think the proof is, I hate to say this term, the proof is in the pudding, but the proof is in the reviews I've gotten from the graduates of my program. Everyone is not only really pleased with everything they've gotten out of the training, they're also really strong teachers, and they're waiting for me to do my 300. So they're not seeking outside,
No, I mean, anytime I take someone's class here, I'm like, and it's what's beautiful is they've got an essence and a background and a foundation of Nectar Flow, but they've got their own unique way of doing it that I think is really beautiful.
And that's actually, I forgot to mention when we were talking about kind of what sets my program apart. I think some of the 200 hours are out there to kind of mold you into whoever the leader might be, whatever that lineage might be. And it's like, do it this way or else. And I don't really believe that. I really focus on, variability, adaptability, and so on. And I believe that each and every adult that's coming into this training comes in with their own set of knowledge and skills to make the practice their own.
So their own bodies.
Their own body, their own background, their knowledge. I have somebody that's currently signed up that's in marketing. I'm like, well, you could probably help us learn more about the business of yoga than even what I provide, right? bring it. Like, bring your knowledge to the table so that we can all share.
Yeah.
I don't know any more than any single one of you when we take our knowledge and put it in a bucket, right? Like, we're all going to work together to make this training awesome.
Yeah, we are better together for sure. That is definitely something that I've always admired about you, that you, even though, you know, you are such a leader in so many ways, there are places where, you know, maybe you have, you haven't fully expertised yourself in that area, and you know who to go to.
Who to go to.
You
Like,
know?
I
You're
need
come
help
on
with
in,
my,
you know?
my filming, and I knew to call you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful quality.
Well, thank you.
For sure.
Thanks.
I'm so excited for this, and I can't even imagine all of the people that you're going to get to change their lives, and then they're going to change other people's lives, and it's just going to continue to trickle, because I've been a part of this for a while. I've gotten to see you just continually grow. Like, the consistency is why I believe in this and why I will continue to push this as far as I possibly can. So yeah,
Well, thank you.
I'm excited, and sign me up.
Yes.
I'm in.
I love it.
I'm in, for sure.
Very cool.
This has been so enlightening, and I'm grateful that you are in this space and that you're willing to share the way that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I love it. It fills me up.
Yeah.
And it really is something that I kind of can't get enough of, and I'm very driven in this realm. So, yeah.
You're like, here, take the keys.
Yes.
To the kingdom. Everybody's welcome.
Yes.
There's space for everybody.
This knowledge is way older than me, right?
Yeah.
It's way older than any of us.
Yeah,
and
none
so,
of us invented any of this.
And there's so much, back to what trainings have I done? I'm still training. Like, I'm going to be doing the Kundalini training that is coming up in a couple months at the end of March. And so I will be gaining another 40 hours in Kundalini, because it's a modality that used to really kind of scare me away. I've learned more about it, and I have an amazing teacher that has taken kind of like what I've done with the power yoga sequence and or just the philosophy behind that world, and taken what I like and kept it and said, some of this doesn't need to be here anymore. And so that's what she's done with Kundalini. And she has
taken. You know how to find the people. When you put that energy out there, I believe it really flows to you that way.
That's the hope. Yeah.
I love that.
So
okay, look, they'll sign me up for that one too.
I know, right?
I'm like, if you put your name on it, I'm in.
Yes,
so.
and Laura, she's been in the Austin area teaching Kundalini for decades. And
I've heard amazing things.
Really
already,
fantastic.
So, I can't wait to take her class.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is vodka.
What if it was?
It's tea.